Welcome back to Pause to Unedit Yourself, a podcast where reflection meets transformation. I'm your host, Anushka, and each episode offers you a chance to press pause and explore bite sized insights and soulful reflections from my own journey of introspection, in the hope it will help you too on your path of personal evolution. Whether you're feeling stuck, seeking clarity, or simply wanting to expand, my hope is that this becomes a space of inspiration and deep remembering, guiding you to evolve from within and uncover the infinite potential that lives inside each and every one of you. I Today's episode is about something that is at the root of our belief system. I try to keep each episode bite-sized, but sometimes there is so much to pack into each topic, and rather than breaking up each episode, I try and keep it in one. And today's episode might be a bit longer, so thank you for being here and sharing this space with me, and I hope that it's of value for you. And today's topic, it's something that's rooted in our belief system that holds us back from being the highest expression of ourselves. And that is self worth and validation to be ourselves. So, just to set the scene and something for you to reflect on as you listen to today's episode, I want you to think about where in your life are you still seeking to be seen, affirmed, or approved? Yeah. On this journey of peeling back the layers of self, unediting each layer, each belief, and coming home to who we truly are, I've been sitting with this question of validation for a while and what it actually means to seek approval and why do we crave it? And for as long as I can remember, I've always had a tendency to follow my own path. I've been somewhat of a black sheep. Some might call it rebellious or unconventional. But to me, it was simply about listening to my inner voice, to my own beat. And even with that inner compass guiding me, I noticed that there have been periods in my life that approval seeking shows up in the need to explain myself, to justify my choices, to feel seen. And the deeper I go, the more I realize in one way or another, we all conform. We all seek approval. We all want to know that we are on the right path and that our choices are seen and valued. But you see, the moment we seek that validation, what we're doing on a subconscious level, we are subtly questioning our own worth. And the minute we start asking for that validation, seeking that approval outside of ourselves, what we are unconsciously saying is, I am not enough unless someone else says I am. You see how that is? Think about it. Think about all of the times that you have asked for permission, asked for approval, and where was that coming from? I want to explore this notion of creating without seeking validation or approval. And I started this journey with my Instagram page, Press Pause Movement, on the 1st of January 2024, where I started tapping into this creative expression and embracing this feminine energy of flow, which is a new concept for me. It's a shift in how I show up. And I didn't know what form the page would take or if anyone would see it. All I knew was that I needed a way to express what I felt inside, a way to translate my inner world into something that was tangible. And all I hoped was that these reflections might offer comfort to those who needed to hear them. Each reel, each post, each word, they are simply translations and expressions of my inner world. And is it perfect? Absolutely not. I'm not a trained designer, neither a voiceover artist, but something in me felt called to do this. And it brings me joy and brings me purpose. And it helps me to take each day as it comes. It helps me connect to my natural state of being. And while it's easy to wonder what others might think, and that has crossed my mind many times, the deeper invitation I started to question and ask myself was can I create for the sake of joy? Can I express without needing it to be validated by the number of followers and the number of likes and what have you? And how would I feel if I created and no one ever saw it or heard it but me? And every time I did that, every time I created, every time I listened back to the content that I created or that I wrote, without seeking that validation, I reclaimed another piece of myself. You see, it's actually our human nature to feel connected, to feel like we are seen. But anytime we seek validation, we're ultimately justifying our existence. It implies that we are not enough as we are, that without approval, our essence, our work, and even our presence might somehow fall short. Each day we create, often unconsciously. It's an expression of who we are. Think of all the ways that you create every single day: art, dance, music, and even cooking is an expression of creation. Everything that you do to create. And this creative urge is our true essence, which is asking to be seen. And so, if you think about all the times you have asked for feedback and for approval, think about what intention you had when you asked your friend, your loved one, your family member, your colleague. Were you asking for feedback to grow, or was it to feel worthy? Yeah, and that's that whole aspect of it. That intention behind what it is that you seek. Because there's a big difference between asking for input to evolve and asking for permission to be who we are. You see, it's all about the intention, about how worthy we feel about ourselves when we ask. And if you ask because you want to evolve and grow, that's one thing. Because the feedback doesn't invalidate how you feel about yourself, it doesn't make you any less. But when we look outward for answers, seeking and asking for validation, for approval, for permission, when we ask for opinions from people who may not even understand your path, what we often get back are projections. What we get back are their fears, their limitations, their past regrets, because you took the risk that they never could. And the more we ask, what happens? The more we start to doubt. And the more we doubt, what happens? The less we move. And eventually, what happens? We lose ourselves in the noise. Remember, everyone is different and they don't see the world through your lens. They see the world through their own lens, their own sense of self worth. So if you expect someone else to reflect your vision with perfect clarity, what are you doing? You are setting yourself up for disappointment. And people can only meet us at the depth they have met themselves. We can't expect others to behave the same way as we do. People act and behave from their own experience, their own sense of self worth. And this is something that has taken me quite a while to wrap my head around. Why? Because you assume that when we build connections, we unconsciously create a set of assumptions. We actually build from trust with those closest to us, that we can go and ask for their opinions and they will give it to us with sincerity. We assume that if someone loves us, they will meet our emotional needs, that they will see the world as we do. But the thing I've come to realize is that emotional needs are nuanced. The moment we rely on someone else to affirm our worth, we become a servant to it. We become dependent, reactive. We become chained. We become caged. As long as you're looking for validation from outside, you will not be free. You will suffer because freedom begins the moment you choose to belong to yourself first and foremost, that you are worthy as you are. So take a moment to ask yourself this question. What silent expectations have you placed on the people you are closest to? Write it down and reflect on it. This journey of creating this podcast has meant that I've had to really dig deep. There are so many out there, and I always wondered why anyone would want to tune in. What do I have to say that is of any value? These are all the levels of self worth that I had to deconstruct, through which I found my voice, through which I found myself, and through which I found freedom. You see, the freedom came when I knew I was worthy just as I am. I have nothing to prove to anybody. I'm not seeking for validation from anyone. I realized we were born to create, not consume. And we have this one life where we have a choice to either let our self worth dictate how we live, suffocate us under this weight of fear of what others think about us, or do we allow our creative essence to just explode with passion and create? And that power lies within us. And you might be asking, well, Anushka, you ask for feedback all the time. Drop a comment here, there. Yes, of course, I do ask for feedback. I absolutely value it. But there is a difference of asking for feedback. It's not to make me feel worthy, but it's adding to my growth. So no matter how good you are, people are always going to judge you. It's another human trait and something I might go into in another episode about judgment. And this judgment is people's own insecurities. That's why they judge. So if you're looking for feedback, look for alignment rather than approval. And so I want you to do this exercise. It's something that I actually did, which helped me realize a lot of things. Take a pen and paper and sit down and look at the people you surround yourself with. Look at how they think, how they behave, how they act. And then ask yourself, do they help you grow by challenging you to help you shift your perspective? Or do they try and keep you small by invalidating your presence? Because that is what makes them feel great about themselves. So think about this reflective prompt and see what comes up for you. You'll be surprised. So I wanted to kind of explore how this lack of self worth shows up. And as with everything, our self worth is rooted in our belief system. It is the unconscious programs we have picked up through our lives. And how is that? Well, it's those programs of who we should be, how we should act, what is possible for us, right? These narratives can look like this: I'm not good enough to speak. Who am I to do this? That's rooted in self doubt. What if I make a mistake and embarrass myself? There are so many better speakers out there. Why would anyone listen to me? Comparison. Comparison then is also rooted in self worth. I need to have every detail perfected before I can speak confidently. Perfectionism, rooted in self worth. I'm comfortable staying behind the scene. That's being in your comfort zone, not being seen, not being heard. Again, it's a level of self worth. All of these are examples of a low sense of worth, and you don't realize it because it's it's cleverly disguised as perfectionism, as control, as overthinking. If you think of the micromanager who can't delegate, think of the leader who fears losing their relevance. You see it in the workplace with older leaders managing younger Gen Z, or the partners who need constant reassurance. It all comes down to self worth. And these aren't flaws, they are fear based behaviors. There's a lot to unpack here, I know. But when you begin to believe that you are enough, what happens is that you no longer hold on tightly to that grip of those programs that have been instilled into you. And what happens is that you soften, you start to open up. And when you stop chasing all of this external validation, what happens is something beautiful. You start to shift into self acceptance. And it's in this point that you realize your worth isn't something that you earn, it is something that you are. And you are free. You free yourself that moment when you decide, I am enough. And you realize that you don't need to impress anyone or seek their validation or approval because you are worthy. And I love this quote by Bashar, which led me to a lot of reflection. And he says, quote, "The fact you exist means that you are worthy of existence," unquote. So I leave you with a few reframes, some things for you to think about on your journey of introspection. You are worthy not because of what you do, but because of who you are. Your self worth is an extension of your truth. You are paid because you are paid on what you believe you are worth. You receive based on the energy you radiate. And until you own your value, the world cannot mirror it back to you. And the right people will recognize and cherish your unique light without you having to dim it or explain its brightness. Remember, your worth is inside of you, it's inherent, it doesn't need external validation. So every morning, look in the mirror and say to yourself, I am enough, I am worthy, I am whole. And realize that the key to receiving the magic of life is simple: it's believing you are already whole. And the moment you stop judging yourself, you start flowing. And from that place, life begins to move very differently around you. Because the truth is, your worth was never up for negotiation. So as you go about your week, ask yourself gently, where am I still justifying my existence? What am I depending on for my sense of self? And what would it feel like to live from a place of already being enough? Because remember, anything you are dependent on, you will eventually lose because it is coming from a place of instant gratification, a place of external approval. And the only true safety, the only lasting worth, it comes from within. Your time is valuable. It's the most precious commodity. So thank you so much for being here and sharing this space with me. And thank you for pressing pause and choosing to journey inward and daring to become the highest expression of yourself. As always, I use these episodes as reminders for myself, like mini guides that you can refer to whenever you need a check in with yourself for a moment of recalibration. So feel free to save them and share them with someone who might need to hear them. And do share your comments and feedback too. It will help me to know what resonates for you and what you would like to hear more of. See you on the next episode.